So today I'm going to show you how to use colored pencils to blend colors together with colored pencils. Before we start actually coloring, you are going to choose 3 colors. So you want 3 colors that are close to each other on the color wheel. So if you have, for example, red, you wouldn't want to choose green because it's opposite on the color wheel. And if it's opposite on the color wheel, it's going to turn into like an icky brown color when we blend them together, and we don't want that. So you can choose, for example, red, orange, and yellow, because those 3 are all on the same side of the color wheel. Or you could choose violet, blue, and green, because those are all on the same side of the color wheel. You could also choose something like a light green. Here we have this yellowish green color, and then a regular green, and then a blue green or a blue. So as long as they're on the same side of the color wheel, then you're good. You just don't want to choose anything that's across from each other. Okay? So for my example, I am going to be using yellow, orange, and red, but you could just as easily use light green, dark green, and blue. Or you could have sort of a blue and purple and reddish purple. So you choose any 3 colors that are on the same side of the color wheel, and we'll pause a second for you to get those 3 colors. Then what you're going to do is start with your lightest color. So for me, that would be yellow. But if you have different colors than I do, you're just going to choose whichever one is your lightest color. And you're going to very lightly color the entire stomach of your bird. I'm using a bird for an example. We're just doing a blending on the stomach. You can do it on whichever part of your picture that you are doing, but for this project, we are going to do it on the belly of the bird. So I'm just coloring the whole thing lightly. You can go ahead and do this as well. Color the whole thing lightly with that lightest color that you have out of the 3. Then the next step, once you have the whole thing covered lightly with that color, you are going to press a little harder. So you can see how it's showing up a little brighter there. I'm pressing harder, and I'm going to color the bottom half of the bird with that same light color, but I'm pressing harder with it this time. And then as I get up towards the top here, towards the middle I'm going to press kind of medium, so it goes from really dark to a little bit lighter, and then the lightest at the top. So you can see how it kind of goes dark, lighter, lightest. So go ahead and color that bottom half the darkest. Press it nice and hard with that light color and get it as dark as you can with that light color. And then you can set that color off to the side. And the next one you're going to use is your darkest color. So again, I'm using red for my darkest color, but yours might be something else. Whatever of the 3 that you have, whichever one is the darkest is what you're going to choose next. And I'm going to take and color the bottom of the belly here. It's going to be kind of like a shadow underneath the belly of the bird. And I'm going to go a little bit along the edge of its wings so that you can kind of see almost like a shadow from the wings there. But notice I'm not coloring this whole area, I'm just coloring the bottom half. And I'm pressing kind of hard with it in order to get it to show up over top of that color I already did. So I'm pressing kind of hard, filling in this bottom part. And then you can kind of press lightly again to fill in a little bit more. So you can see I pressed hard in these areas, and then I press lightly here with the darkest color that I have. And then your very last step, you're going to use that middle color, the color you haven't used yet, and you're going to go over the entire belly with that color. And you're going to press kind of hard with it, and it's going to blend all these colors together and make it look like it's going from a lighter to a darker color down at the bottom. So even up top, it's going to look like It's going to kind of turn it orange, but it's going to be kind of a yellowish orange because I have that yellow underneath. And your colors will blend whichever colors you chose. And then as I get down further, you'll notice that it starts to kind of change color, because even though I'm pressing with this color and I'm pressing hard with it over the whole thing, since I already pressed hard with my other colors, it blends a little differently and it makes it turn into more of a yellowish orange. And then at the bottom it'll look like a reddish orange where I had that darker area. So this last color that I'm using is just to kind of blend everything together. And you can always go back over it. If I notice that it looks really light down here, I want it darker, or it looks really dark up here and I want it a little bit lighter, I can go back over it. So down here maybe I'll add a little more red to get that darker color in there. Make it a little bit more of a shadow on the bottom. So you can always touch it up to get that blending effect. So when you're coloring the rest of your bird, you can choose if you want to do blending like that, or you can do other colors. You can color it without blending, so if maybe you want brown feathers or something like that, you can use whatever colors you want for the rest of your bird. But I want you to color your whole bird with colored pencil. And then in the background, you can decide if you want to use colored pencils, crayons, or markers. So you can go ahead and start working on that. Just remember to take your time, do that gold metal coloring, and carefully color all those details so that no white is showing when you're done. Nice job!